I wanted to be at Texas State. I chose to be at Texas State. I'm from Texas. That was important to me. I always knew if the right guy got this job, you better watch out.
You better watch out. This is Win Now or Get Bent, episode 208. If you don't already know, I'm Keff Ciardello, coming to you on Friday, September 26th, and we've got drama on the bye week for the Bobcats. Texas State football is off this week after securing the paddle over Nicholls State 35-3 last weekend. Great stuff in that win. Looked like they were going to have a week off. Not a whole lot in the headlines for Texas State. And then Oklahoma State fired their longtime head coach, Mike Gundy. Mr. I'm a man, I'm 40, 21 years in Stillwater, done. Fired on a Tuesday after week 4 of the season. Kind of a bit of a head scratcher. They had a bad loss to Tulsa, and immediately the rumors started swirling who's going to be the Cowboys' next coach. And at the top of all those lists, GJ Kinne. So we got to talk about it. We're going to talk about it this episode. It's kind of fortunate that this happened on a bye week for the Bobcats, because my guy Zach Webb said it on Wizard Wednesday. This is a bit of a distraction. He didn't want to talk about it a whole lot. I'm going to talk about it this entire episode. I had other good stuff planned for this week, this episode. This feels like something that we got to talk about as a bunch of sickos. We got to have a sit down and discuss what's going on with this whole situation with GJ Kinne, what this means for Texas State, the likelihood that he comes back. We're going to talk about all of it, all of that for the Bobcats. But before we get there, this episode is brought to you by TGC LLC, the Galindo Collective.com. That's Galindo, GalindoCollective.com, a team of professional consultants dedicated to helping others realize their potential through people, planning, and practice. Their services cover a wide range of areas such as business strategy, marketing, human resources, and financial planning. If you own property or a business and want to maximize its profitability, contact TGC at thegalindocollective.com, Galindo, thegalindocollective.com, and follow their social media platforms on Twitter at TGC_LLC and on Instagram and Facebook at the Galindo Collective. Shout out to my guy Rick Galindo, a Texas State grad, a true Texas State sicko. This is the third season Win Now or Get Bent has partnered with TGC LLC, even bringing back the ticket giveaway that we had last season. We've been doing it this year. Look out for that on the homecoming game against Troy coming up. But until then, check out thegalindocollective.com, Galindo, thegalindocollective.com. We are also brought to you by Been Having It Hats. If you're watching on the YouTube page, you can see I am wearing the Cats by 90 hat, the rope hat from bhihats.com. They also have this awesome state rope hat available at bhihats.com. Been Having It Hats. You punch in WNOGB as a promo code at your checkout, you get 10% off. Supplies are limited. They are running out. So get in there. Who knows how much longer we'll be pushing them before they are all out, but it sure looks good. I do love wearing it. Check them out again, bhihats.com. All right, on to the Bobcats. As I was saying at the top, I had bigger plans this week for the bye week. I was going to talk about recruiting. I was going to talk about everything that's been going on the first 4 games of the season. And then Mike Gundy was let go on Tuesday. And it has just created a bit of a whirlwind. A lot of you are in my DMs, my messages, reaching out to me any way that you can, trying to get me to talk you off a ledge or what have you about this whole situation. But it's definitely on everyone's mind, especially with a bye week for the Bobcats. It's hard not to focus on it. It is a bit distracting this early in the season. It is kind of interesting. This feels like a newer development with college football. We saw it with Virginia Tech. They've already moved on from their coach. Rumors that Arkansas is going to move on pretty early from theirs. And now we see it at Oklahoma State as well. These P4 jobs are opening up a little bit earlier, and you got to wonder if maybe it is strategic to get ahead of the other. They look around at the landscape, and you see there's going to be a lot of P4 openings. So the pickings may be a little slim if you wait too long. And so maybe they're looking at it and trying to get ahead of maybe somebody like Baylor moving on from their coach, and they might look at a GJ Kinne and all his ties to the Baylor Bears with his dad who played there and coached there, and then he had a brother who played there as well, and they definitely know him after that 2023 win. So who knows if this is a bit strategic, because this coaching cycle, it's crazy to say cycle this early in the season. Just after the first 2 seasons for GJ Kinne, you would see his name pop up. It wouldn't be in every single list, but it would be in a significant amount. Wouldn't always be at the top, but it would be there in the mix in a top 5. This year, this Oklahoma State job, every single list you see, his name's right there at the top. Him and Zach Robinson. I even saw someone post some Vegas odds that he is the odds-on favorite, like plus 300 to take the Oklahoma State job. So he is absolutely a candidate there. It is, I can imagine, worrisome for a lot of you out there, but this is actually a good thing. This is a byproduct of success at the G5 level. You know, if you want to be a jump-off university, give a coach his first chance at the FBS level, this is going to happen, where there are just going to be some of these bigger suitors that are going to come in. Because really, it's something I've been dancing around for the last couple of years, because even when you look at the trajectory with GJ Kinne, his coaching career, his first 6 years, it was 1 year at each stop, 1 year, then gone. So the fact that it was even year 3, I found that a little surprising, that we were even looking up at 2025 and GJ Kinne is still doing it, because he's a star. He's a great coach. This is the 5th coach I've covered here at Texas State. He's the best. He's going to be the when he does leave, whether that's this year, next year, whatever, who knows? It feels it's going to be sooner than later, which is why we have to kind of address it. But he's going to be the first one of those 5th coaches that I've covered that is going to leave this place better than they found it. So, and that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot for when he does go. It's going to be a way more tantalizing job than when he took it in 2022. This job for potential coaching candidates, it looks a lot better than it did, and that's because of GJ Kinne. And he, it's not his style to leave during the season. I don't even know what the precedent is for that. If they were trying to scoop him up in the middle of the season, I don't even know exactly how that would work. I mean, in theory, they'd pay the buyout and they could get him to come in. But even so, when he was at Incarnate Word, Texas State hired him when he still was in the playoffs with the Cardinals, and he finished out that season. He coached those last 2 games in the playoffs for them. So it's not his style to leave early. Now, granted, that was for $800K a year when he waited to leave Incarnate Word. Who knows if Oklahoma State's saying $8 million a year, if that might be incentive enough to leave early. I don't think so, though. I think this is still something that it'll play the season out as they go on. But it's a good time to rip off the Band-Aid and discuss it and talk about it, because there's a good chance, whether it's very soon, which I doubt, or by the end of the year, which I really think it's going to happen. I'm leaning towards that. When you look at all the jobs opening up, when you look at them already getting traction this early in the season, it seems like it's almost a foregone conclusion. And he's earned it. Like I was saying, he deserved it. He's earned every inch of it. This was not an easy job. This was not an easy place to come into. Texas State, he got their first 2 bowl wins. They had no bowl wins when he came in. He got the first one, then he got the second one. Texas State was 0-5 against UTSA. He was one of those 0-5, but he's made up for it with 2 wins the last 2 seasons. Got the first win over UTSA, and then got the second win over UTSA. Done just about everything but beat Louisiana and win conference. Who knows? That could still happen this season. So there's this is all of it is deserved. It's bittersweet for Texas State, but this is a good thing, because this is the first time that I've been covering the Bobcats where it seems like a coach is going to leave, and it's positive. Not positive that they're going to be without GJ Kinne, but it's a good sign of growth for this place, because the facts of the matter are Texas State is growing. They're going to the Pac-12. Lots of great things are happening. They still can't compete with these P4 salaries. They just can't. Right now, GJ Kinne's making $2 million a year at Texas State. In fact, that's a little bit more than the Bobcats get from their media payout from the Sun Belt. I think it's just under $2 million per team going across all the 14 teams in the Sun Belt. So that's a ton of their budget already going towards the coach. When realistically, when you look at that, even with the anticipated increase with the media money when it comes to the Pac-12. Even with that, you would have to imagine it could only go higher, like by $1 million or so. Even that's really hamstringing them. If they're shelling out $3 million a year for the coach, you're competing against teams, these P4 programs that are making 50, 60, 70 million from these media rights deals. 70 million might be high, but maybe not for the SEC. Who knows? So it's tough competition. And really, if they were to throw gobs of money at them, get it up as high as like 5 million, that would really affect the budget in other places negatively. So it's just the way it is. It's the way it is with football. And Texas State, they have aspirations to be in a power conference, to be a power team one day. One day they can have the financial coffers to hold on to coaches like this, but unfortunately it's not today, and they're still growing towards that. And maybe the Pac-12 revival can turn that back into a power conference. It'll take a lot, but there's a lot of motivation from around these programs that it can get there. But it's not quite there yet. And really, when you think about the increase in pay for GJ Kinne and what that would mean for his family, what that means for his career, it's hard to doubt him or to get mad at him as a man when you look at that in this decision, in this whole process. So hats off to GJ Kinne. He's earned this attention. He deserves to be at the tippy top of all those lists, and I'm so happy for him. He's gonna do that. It's going to it'll be a tough situation for Texas State when that day comes, when it does move on to a P4. But I will say, if it happens before January, the Bobcats get $3.4 million that they'll get. So that's a good chunk of change. And I trust the administration that's in place now. This is the same administration that hired GJ Kinne, that went out and found him back in 2022 after his first year at Incarnate Word, gave him a shot, a really young coach. Hadn't proven much except for one season in the FCS, but it was a lot. That number one offense with taking them to the playoffs and everything. So they are still in place, and thinking even going back to Don Coryell, him as AD since was it 2021 he took over. Dr. Kelly Damphus taking over as school president in 2022. That both times inherited Jake Spavital. Now, Don Coryell was here for the hiring of Spavital, so I wouldn't call that a full inheritance. But Dr. Kelly Damphus definitely. He inherited Jake Spavital. They gave it a year. They moved on, and this was their first hire, and they nailed it. And I trust them to do it again. The trajectory of Texas State and where it's going, GJ Kinne, he pushed it over the edge and showing that you can win here. I started with every episode of this podcast with that quote. You get one guy here, you better watch out. And look what happened. One guy came in here and galvanized this place, turned around football, and everybody is looking at Texas State in a whole different light. I mean, they're just coming off a game, that Nicholls State game, which it's kind of crazy. I barely even mentioned that game at all in this episode. But that's kind of this news. I kind of want to talk about this in this episode and then focus on the season for the rest of the year. But that Nicholls State game, we're looking at 31,500 fans. The max at UFCU Stadium is 28,000. That means 3,500 other people were standing up in the party porch, the corridor that connects the stadium to that south end zone complex. They were all around, hanging around for an FCS opponent. I know it was family weekend and all that stuff, but still, that was not all. It was the fourth largest crowd ever at UFCU Stadium, and the other three a lot of that was for the other opponent. Navy number 1. Houston number 2, and then the UTSA game in 2017, where it's a pretty split crowd, as we've seen as this series has gone. So this was the first time where it was in there at number 4, 31,500, and most of them are Bobcats. Nicholls did not have a lot of fans. If you were there, to the Colonels, sorry, I didn't see you out there. It was a lot of Texas State Bobcats. So the momentum here is going. It's rolling. And so I trust this place to capitalize on that. As soon as he's gone, because this is the true test. Is it just one guy, or can it actually be this place? And I know it can be this place. This place is special. You look at the alumni base, you look at the fans, you see what they do in other sports, and really it's always just been football lacking, and it's not lacking anymore. We're in year 3 of it not lacking. 3-1. I mean, it was funny. My dad, right after that, he reached out. Shout out to my dad, a sicko, listening to the episodes. 3-1. He goes, when was the last time the Bobcats were 3-1? And I was like, I hadn't even thought of that. It's 2013, over 10 years ago since they've been 3-1 after non-conference play. In fact, that was my first season covering the Bobcats professionally. Graduated from Texas State in 2012, wrote for the school paper while in school, but I was at Bobcat Report that season. So that's kind of fun to think about, but it's been a long time. And they finished that year 6-6. So, it's not a foregone conclusion that the Bobcats are running away with the Sun Belt or anything, but I still feel great about it. I said 9-3 in fall camp, and I still feel great. I think they actually might beat Louisiana, so to lose to them, maybe lose to JMU instead. And instead of the Marshall loss that I picked, maybe Southern Miss. But otherwise, I'm still very confident in 9-3 when I look at that. And so capitalizing on that momentum with the next hire and nailing the next hire, I trust them to do that. I just don't, when I think about it, and I've been thinking about it all week, I just don't know if they have the money to really compete with that. And how could you look at him and tell him he's got to turn that down, or he's a traitor? I don't see it that way at all. And if Texas State is going to be the jump off for now, you got to embrace it. Go find the next hot coach. We'll talk about that too. I've got some candidates coming up that we'll definitely discuss. We'll look at. I hate to do that because it feels insulting, because he's got the GJ Kinne is still there. I don't mean to already start looking past it. And who knows? You never know what happens in these situations. But just reading the tea leaves and reaching out to people who are usually really responsive, and they're not responsive in these scenarios. I've said it before whenever I'm talking to sources, a no response is a response in a way. It's kind of telling. If you ask about something and you get a quick like, man, don't worry about that, then that's one thing. But when you're not, you can just kind of read the tea leaves. I know the Wizard and I were even tracking planes. We saw one coming in from Tulsa to San Marcos, a private jet, on Wednesday afternoon. So, who can say? We looked at the plane. It's owned by an insurance company called Home State. Don't see any ties to Oklahoma State there, so it could be a coincidence. The San Marcos one was kind of off on their route. They go to like Waco a lot and stuff. But that's really that's kind of what week it has been. So it just tells me that prepare yourselves, enjoy the ride, but prepare yourselves, Bobcats. It's we're likely on for another coach search at the end of this season, and this is the first one that's going to be positive in a while for Texas State. So that's going to be nice. It's funny thinking about the last time I even did this, where I talked about on this podcast about coaching candidates and potential replacements. It was all the way back on episode 66. We were audio only. The Wizard hadn't teamed up with us yet. We're in the throes of that 2022 season. Remember, Lane Hatcher took every snap that season. What a year. And it was around this time, I think it was 4 games into the season, that I called for a mailbag. I almost called for a mailbag in this week, and then this news dropped, and I was like, I already know what every question's going to be, so we'll talk about it. But we'll get a mailbag in soon. Don't worry about that. But it was I called for a mailbag, and one of the questions was, if Texas State moves on from Jake Spavital, who are the candidates for this year? And the very first one I said was GJ Kinne. GJ Kinne was the candidate. That one, it felt like more of a dark horse back then. He was the coach at Incarnate Word first year. Name wasn't really as known. It was 4 games into his season as well, his first season as a head coach. They were just fireworks. And my buddy Carl Schoening, shout out to Carl, great job. He'll be calling some Spurs stuff this season, so check that out. Texas State grad, getting in there at 1200 a.m. down in San Antonio talking Spurs. Shout out to my guy Carl. But he was the first one who's like, check out this GJ Kinne guy at Incarnate Word, and that's when I got my eyes on him, and that's what made me bring him up in episode 66 of that. Now we're in episode 208, and it's a different situation. It isn't like if the Bobcats are replacing their coach because he has done a poor job. This is, hey, if someone comes and snagged the coach, who are the candidates? What are we looking at? And it's a lot easier to come up with a candidate list because, like I was saying, this job is a little more tantalizing than it was when GJ Kinne took it over. Now, I have a list of candidates. I have 3 candidates, and I'll say this: I'm gonna until anything is official, I'm gonna leave it at this for the rest of the year, and we're gonna talk about the season. We're gonna talk about football. We won't use this as a distraction. I kind of hate that I'm even bringing it up at this time of the season, but it seems like it's on a lot of your minds, so we're gonna talk about it. I don't have any internal hire candidates to take over for GJ Kinne if he were to leave at the end of the season, because I would assume he would take a lot of his staff with him, same way he did at Incarnate Word. But I do have 3 candidates, so let's go over it. Number 1 candidate is so easy. You probably already thought of it yourself. It's probably already on your mind. It's on your lips right now. You know what I'm about to say. Mack Leftwitch, Texas Tech offensive coordinator, former Texas State offensive coordinator the last 2 seasons when the Bobcats were wrecking shop in the Sun Belt. Now he's at Texas Tech. What has he got? The 4th best total offense in the nation at Texas Tech. He's doing great things. The young Mack Leftwitch, 30 years old, will be 31 on November 18th. He's a former UTEP quarterback. I like a good former quarterback. In fact, all 3 of the coaches on my candidate list are former quarterbacks, just like GJ Kinne was. I think that's definitely shown me the importance of that. Was when you talk about his mind and the decision making, just everything how he processes it, how he looks at football. I've learned a lot from covering a former quarterback who's now a coach. Because Jake Spavital was a quarterback, not really in college a whole lot though. Definitely not to the extent that the GJ was. What he did at Tulsa, incredible, all the yards and stuff, and making it into the NFL for a couple seasons, getting in some camps. So I like that. I like that about Mack Leftwitch, and especially he's not the tallest guy, so he was out there playing some games, slinging the ball at the FBS level, and he didn't have the biggest stature. So I appreciated that a lot. He's making $1.1 million a year right now at Texas Tech. So Texas State could definitely offer him more than that. It would maybe close to what GJ's making now. Who knows what they would be thinking there. When you look at that, you see his buyout is 35% on his contract, but shout out to Texas Tech for throwing this in there. They will waive the buyout if Mack Leftwitch gets an NFL coordinator job or a collegiate head coaching job. So boom, right there. If they want Mack Leftwitch, somebody who has been here before, somebody who likes this area, his wife is from this area, loved living in this area, I imagine would love to come back. It's a little bit nicer than Lubbock. No offense to the good people in West Texas. San Marcos is beautiful. Who wouldn't want to live in this area? So I think that one could be, it should be at the top of their list. You'd have to assume it would be, that this is a guy that they would go after. It's a young, up-and-coming guy. May not be a lot of teams out there that are willing to give him the head coaching spot, but Texas State knows what he's about, knows what he can do. He's got a coaching pedigree with his dad and everything. There's just, I love it about Mack Leftwitch. The one dig on him is that he's 31, and that's not really much of a dig. Get in there early. I mean, you see Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State. When GJ was brought in, what was he, the 2nd youngest coach in the nation? So if Texas State is going to be this jump-off university until they're a stepping stone for now, until they can solidify themselves as a landing spot, then you got to embrace it. Go for it. Go for these up-and-coming coaches like that. And the no buyout thing, I think that's pretty fantastic. I mean, the Bobcats, especially if they were to get 3.4 from the GJ Kinne buyout, and then you don't have to use that buyout on Mack Leftwitch, just adds a lot more to the table. Really wish that buyout was a little more for GJ Kinne. You look at like Jeff Traylor's, his is $5 million, but still 3.4. It's not bad. That extension they gave him after year 2, and they bumped him up to $1 million to $2 million a year. It's looking pretty smart because that buyout was slapped in there as well when they did that. So by a mile, number 1 candidate is Mack Leftwitch. By a mile. I think we're all, I can't imagine there's many people out there that are against it. Maybe the age thing is a situation. I know my guy Hunter Schuler. Shout out to Hunter Schuler. We'll give him a shout out. We've used his drone footage in one of our cinematic recaps, which, nice plug for the cinematic recap. Go check that out. One from the Nicholls State game. Great job by the Wizard, Zachary Webb. But he really wants Mike Gundy, wants to do a trade where if GJ Kinne were to go to Oklahoma State, He wants Texas State to bring in Mike Gundy. I don't think that's the right move. I think you want to go for the young up-and-coming coaches who are hungry, and maybe they're trying to prove it to P4s by showing they can win a lot of games at this level here. And it doesn't get much younger than Mack Leftwitch at 31. Pretty young coach. I think he's ready, though. He's not even 30. I say 31. He's not 31 for another couple months. But I every time I'd interview him or see him, I appreciated all of that. And on top of that, you got this is an important note. I'm glad I didn't forget this. If GJ Kinne does go to Oklahoma State, it's a good chance he may want to take not just his staff, but a lot of players as well. One in particular, Brad Jackson at quarterback, one of the main recruiters for Brad Jackson out of high school, Mack Leftwitch. You can go back and look at pictures of him and Mack both sporting a mustache. Mack shaved his beard into a mustache when Brad Jackson was visiting, so might be able to keep some players that want to play for Mack Leftwitch. You never know. That's why I just think it's a home run. It's one you barely even have to think about. You don't even have to call Parker Executive Search on that one. You got his number. You got his number already. Probably have this guy's number as well too. Next coach on the list. I'll do this one a little quicker. Travis Bush, UTRGV. Now this is one because to be honest, like I said, this has been on my mind. When's GJ gonna leave? For a little while now, and Travis Bush has been someone I've thought about before. Definitely didn't have him number 2 before. Probably didn't even have him in the top 3 before the season started. But man, he's got UTRGV rolling right off the bat. The Vaqueros look so good in their inaugural season. They are 4-0. Hold on, let me pull up. I was just looking at their schedule. Please tell me I still have it here. UTRGV. Here we go. I sure do. 4-0, 3-0 at home. Here's their wins. 66-0 over Sul Ross State. Come on, Sul Ross State. Aren't you in the Texas State University system? Prairie View A&M, 27-21. Good game there. 80-0 over Langston. Don't know who Langston is, but goodness, 80-0. So UTRGV's most points ever scored in a game is already higher than Texas State's most points scored in a game. They did that in their third game. And then Texas Wesleyan, 61-13. I mean, my goodness, they are humming. That's 3 games over 60 in their first 4. They look incredible. They have the number 1 offense and the 3rd scoring offense in the FCS. 3rd at 58.5 points. 3rd surprised me. They're behind Harvard. Harvard's at like 59. Harvard. I mean, don't let those nerds get you, Vaqueros. Come on. Get that point total up. No, but 58.5 points. It's remarkable. And this was the same level when I talked about it, episode 66 of Win Now or Get Bent, and I'm gushing over GJ Kinne in that episode. This is the same level he was playing at FCS, Southland Conference even. The difference is Travis Bush is doing it for an inaugural season. Right? This is their first season of football. They just started their program. So he's doing awesome things at UTRGV. And I'm sure if you don't know the name Travis Bush, he has an impossible amount of Texas State ties as well to this area. He graduated from Texas State, played receiver at Texas State, was a coach at Texas State for a while, was a coach at San Marcos High School in the area. He even knows the enemy. He was the UTSA offense coordinator in 2011. He was an NFL assistant with the Bills in 2015. He's 49 years old. I think he has so many ties. Now, this is his first year as a collegiate head coach, real early in it. There was the same situation with GJ Kinne, but I think I've almost seen enough that I think this guy can coach at the FBS level. When you look at what they've done with a brand new program and everything, it's pretty remarkable. He's got a staff that's full of Texas State people as well, whether former players, former coaches, even people who just graduated from there like Marco Regaldo. I like everything. I've been quietly rooting for UTRGV. I would kind of hate it for them if they lost their coach right off the bat after the first year. It'd be nice if he gave it a couple more years, but the same thing I said about Texas State, when it's just kind of the nature of the beast, it falls for them with FCS to the FBS level. So I really like Travis Bush. It's early in his collegiate career, but that doesn't bother me. Obviously, Mack is the number 1 on my list, but Travis Bush is pretty up there as well. I think Mack, like I was saying, Mack number 1 by a mile, but I would not be mad if they kicked the tires on Travis Bush and at least gave it a shot. At number 3 here, I considered Clint Killow the coach for Incarnate Word, but I really just haven't liked how they've looked this year. I think that he might have been riding on some of the fumes created by Eric Morris and then GJ Kinne a little bit, so I wouldn't want to saddle onto that. That's no dig on him. He does great things. Pretty sure he went to school there and everything, so I know he's pretty happy there. So that I almost went with him there. I could even see them considering it, but with number 3, I have Will Stein, Oregon offensive coordinator, UTSA offensive coordinator in 2022. So 2 former UTSA offensive coordinators on my list. Former Lake Travis coach as well, so he's familiar with the area. It's a matter of time before he's a head coach. Young guy at 36 years old. He's been doing awesome things with the Ducks offense. He is one of the highest paid assistants in the nation at $1.7 million. So the Bobcats would really have to bring it to entice him. He might be holding out for more of a P4 job. So he's more of my dark horse of these 3. Those first 2 I really, really like. I'm really confident about. And then Will Stein would be a nice pickup if they could get it, but he might not be available in that situation. But definitely somebody they should at least try. All of them former quarterbacks. Will Stein was a former quarterback at Louisville. Travis Bush was a quarterback in high school and then was a receiver at Texas State. So I like these 3 candidates. I think they are a matter of time before they really get to take off and show themselves. But those are my 3. And we're going to leave it at that because we're not going to harp on this all season. That's it. We're gonna focus on the year, focus on the Bobcats winning the Sun Belt, focus on everything that's happening in 2025, because this doesn't need to be a depressing situation, doesn't need to be like a black cloud hanging over this program all season. This is a good thing for Texas State, and the people that are in place are the right people to make that decision. And it's so nice to say that in the year 2025, because there were plenty of years in the past where I wouldn't have said that. Heck, started a podcast because I didn't want to say things like that. And now it's just the truth. People are there, when Dr. Kelly Dampus came there, and there was a lot of the staff still around, from Don Coryell, Travis Comer, Tracy Shoemaker. There's people that he inherited that have really taken to his leadership and fallen in line with this place, and they've done great things. They've made great decisions, and I trust them to make that right decision as well. But GJ Kinne's still here. He's still here. We don't know we got to assume for the rest of this season. I can't imagine it would happen during, but he's still here now. There's still a lot of the season left. There's still a mission at hand, and I know he's taking that one very seriously. So we're going to leave it at that. If you have questions again in a few weeks, if another coach gets fired and GJ Kinne pops up on this list, I'm going to refer you to episode 208. This is the early candidates list, the GJ Kinne might leave episode. So you just circle back to it, and we'll get that one for you. Oh, it wasn't the best episode as far as the news and everything that we're talking about, but I still had a lot of fun talking about it, and I'm really appreciative of Austin Patchmaster for sponsoring it. Austin.patchmaster.com. Hole in the wall, give APM a call. Drywall repair, paint jobs, popcorn removal, and more. Whether you're moving in, moving out, or just looking to upgrade, Austin Patchmaster has you covered. This is their 3rd season sponsoring Win Now or Get Bent. Owned and operated by Tech State grad and a true Tech State sicko, Michael Clements. Austin Patchmaster is one of our very, very first sponsors. Check them out. Check out their reviews, 200 plus 5-star reviews on Google. If you call them up at 512-200-3888, that's 512-200-3888, and you mention Win Now or Get Bent, you get a 10% discount. So again, find them at austin.patchmaster.com. All right, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/WinNowOrGetBent, WNOGB.com, under construction. I got the Mad Cat shirt on. They will be back very, very soon, so hang on to that. Until then, bhihats.com. Shout out to BHI Hats. Check us out on Twitter, @WinNowOrGetBent. Check us out on Instagram, @WNOGB. Check us out on TikTok, at WNOGB. If you're watching on YouTube, our YouTube channel, Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. It really helps us grow. Really, numbers have been awesome. Really appreciate y'all this season. Thank you to TGC LLC. Thank you to Austin Patchmaster and to BHI Hats. Quick shout out to Turnkey Tailgate. They were sponsoring us for the non-conference games. There's no mid-roll ad this one, but shout out to them. I imagine they will be back at probably to finish out this season, but go check them out at turnkey-tailgate.com. Big shout out to them. And thank you to you sickos. Oh, wait, we got to thank the Wizard. Thank you to the Wizard, Zachary Webb. Wizard Wednesday. Check it out. Great episode this week. He talked more about actually what's happening in 2025. He didn't let the distraction get to him. I can't help it. I got too distracted. Had to do a whole episode on it. But go listen to that about Brad Jackson, about the defense, and about how the Bobcats could take the Sun Belt West. It's open for the Bobcats this season. I'll hit you with a nice rundown on Monday. See, I was going to do an episode talking about that stuff. I have it all prepped. It's pushed to an episode later on. We're just going to get this one out of the way. And now, thank you to you sickos, always tuning in. If it wasn't for you, we'd be shouting out into the void. Big things ahead for the Bobcats. They have created all this momentum, and it'll take them into whatever era they have coming up. But right now we're in the 2025 era, so let's get that Sun Belt. Let's drop Louisiana. Let's get the Sun Belt. Let's do some great things before moving on to the Pac-12, huh? But all right, everybody, win now or get bent.